This is when adrenaline soars, pressure is heightened, and expectations are raised.
Let's jump right into this. You know it's been a wild year when the PGA Tour Player of the Year is number 5 on this list, but that's exactly what happened. Our number 5 story is Scottie Scheffler's dash to major champion and world number 1. Just off the top, where does your mind initially go when we mention Scottie Scheffler in the year 2022?
4 wins and 6 starts in the spring. I mean, that's pretty amazing when you think about it. And that first win of those 4 wins was his first on the PGA Tour. So it wasn't as though we got a lot of idea that this was going to happen. And of course, it all culminated with him winning the Masters in April at Augusta National. And I don't want to say convincing style, but he certainly was impressive in that performance. It's not as though, I don't know, sometimes we can sit and make the argument that a guy backed into a major championship. That's not the case.
He was up by like 5 shots on Sunday. I mean, he just kind of let it slip. Four
yeah, I mean, 4 putt at the final green, that's always going to do it. So, yeah, I guess I would call it a commanding victory. It was a great spring. I mean, to your point that I don't know that we would ever come up with a scenario where the PGA Tour Player of the Year would be the guy who's 5th on our list of 1 through 5. But he had a really good spring. And it's not as though he fell off the map the rest of the season. He just wasn't up to that level. I think you get an idea of how difficult it is to maintain that sort of play. But certainly when you look at Scottie's year, I was just doing the ballots for the Golf Writers Association of America. We do a male player of the year, which is a little different. It counts worldwide, and also so you need to look into what Rory did on the European Tour. You need to look into what Cam Smith did. I mean, obviously he's gone to Live Golf. And I found it fascinating that the people that I kind of polled just kind of around the media center, as far as those 3 players, how many people actually would go back to Scottie and point out that even though after that great spring, he kind of fell off a little bit and wasn't quite as dominant, he was still really good.
So where did you put him? Would you make him your male player of the year for 2022?
I don't think I would, but I think you can make a really good argument for it. I think this year's, I think this year, for those of us who have a ballot and are going to vote on this, it's going to be, in my mind, one of the most compelling, in recent memory at least, in the 20-plus years that I've been voting for the GWA award, simply because you can make an argument for all 3. I would lean towards Rory, simply because I feel like he did it more over the course of a 12-month span. He did it on both sides of the Atlantic. He's just the 2nd player to win both the FedEx Cup and the DP World Tour season-long championship. I would lean in that direction. However, man, it's hard to look past Cam Smith even. And I know that gets complicated because he's gone to Live Golf, but you factor in he won the Players' Championship. You factor in he won the Open Championship. You factor in the fact that he started the year with a victory at the Century Tournament of Champions. And you factor in the fact that he's won twice since joining Live Golf. He's impossible to ignore. I think it would be a really good debate.
It would be a very good debate. Something tells me, Rex, teaser alert, that we will be talking Cam Smith and Rory McIlroy as we finish out this list.
Well done. Very good.
The thing that comes to mind, Rex, when I think about Scottie Scheffler is obviously, as you mentioned right at the top, 4 wins in 6 starts. The thing that I just keep going back to, and we're recording this in early December, is this could have been a monster year. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 wins, which we really haven't seen all that often over the past decade. I think JT won 5 times in 2017. Patrick Cantlay won 3 or 4 a year ago, but some of those were kind of add-ons during the FedEx Cup playoffs. We're talking about a guy in Scottie Scheffler, Rex, who had 9 top 3 finishes. He had 4 runner-up finishes. If he converts 2 of those, we're looking at like an absolutely gigantic season, one of the best that we've seen over the past decade. And so your mind kind of drifts to what could have been. He finished a shot out of a playoff at the U.S. Open, played great at the Country Club at Brookline, certainly had a chance to win and deny Matt Fitzpatrick his first major championship there. Your mind goes back to Eastlake and the Tour Championship, taking that 6-shot lead into the final round, shooting 73 and allowing Rory McIlroy to pass him for the FedEx Cup title. You know, Scottie Scheffler, for all that he accomplished during the 2021-2022 season, you know, he still emerged from that precedent kind of teary-eyed and shook by what had transpired. You know, I guess it's reasonable to assume that there was sort of like a hangover effect that we saw at the President's Cup. We didn't particularly play well there. I know he had a top 5 finish during the restart of this PGA Tour season this fall, but was kind of in different play as well. What's very interesting, Rex, is we look at Scottie Scheffler moving forward, a guy who didn't even have a PGA Tour title as of Super Bowl Sunday in 2022, is where does he go from here? I don't think really anyone, perhaps even Scottie Scheffler, expected that he could get all the way to world number 1. He ended up assuming that post for more than 30 weeks in the calendar year 2022. Do you think he can get back there? Is he a player who you think is built for a sustained run in the top, if maybe not the top spot, maybe the top 3 or 5? What do you think?
I think he can. I mean, you don't do what he did earlier in the season without having the talent and the skill. I feel like this is us being the ultimate prisoners of the moment, right? Whereas our most recent memories of Scottie, as you just pointed out, essentially blowing a lead to Rory at the Tour Championship.
He didn't essentially blow it. He blew it.
He blew it, and it was a sizable lead, and I think that's impossible to ignore. Certainly, he did not play well at the President's Cup. I mean, the lasting memory is him on the putting green with Steve Stricker trying to help him out into the darkness there at Quail Hollow. All of these things are going to be fresh in our mind. But no, if you look back to what he did in April, there's no way to sit here and make an argument, not a valid argument, that yes, he did what he did and he's never going to come back. That's not an option. I'll even go back to the fall of last year. I was in Houston when he had a chance to win. I remember going into that Sunday thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be Scottie's moment. He's going to break through. He's going to get that first PGA Tour victory. I think he had a 2 or 3 stroke lead going in the final round. Didn't get it done. Jason Kokrak ends up beating him that day. It was fascinating from that moment where it felt like he had kind of reached the point where maybe he can't break through, because we say it all the time. Certainly Ricky Fowler is the best example of this, of he's going to win a major eventually, right? We kept saying it. He still hasn't won a major championship. How the transformation for Scottie from that moment at the Houston Open, and now you follow through the rest of the fall and into the spring of earlier this year. It's amazing how he sort of matured as a player. He got that understanding, and we saw what happened when he applied it.
It is interesting. I mean, I've covered Scottie Scheffler for a really long time. Back to junior golf.
How long?
Certainly covered him in college. At the University of Texas. And just looking at Scottie Scheffler, like everyone knew he was good. He was a dominant junior player. Had some injury issues in college. Probably didn't maximize his potential, but he certainly had a chance to win the NCAA championship back in 2017. And so you looked at Scottie Scheffler, you're like, well, this guy's going to have a very nice PGA Tour career. You could probably see him, contending in major championships, maybe even picking off one. I don't think anyone expected that he would get to the top spot. But when you're looking at him, he's 25 years old. He is built for the major championships when you look at the style of game that he possesses. You look at his stats in the 2021-22 season, he was 5th in strokes gained total. That leads me to believe, and there's proof now, that he does every single thing well. His putting strats dropped off second half of the season, got a little streaky, ended up benching his gamer during the fall. There's at least a little bit of concern there. That's something he's going to have to work on over the very brief off seasons. But when a guy does everything well, he has very good on-course comportment. He knows now that he can do it, having done it at Augusta National. He had that teary Sunday morning before the Masters and ended up getting it done. He can hit a lot of shots. He can play in myriad conditions, whether it's at the Open Championship or in ideal conditions like we saw at the Country Club. Do I think he is a dominant world number 1 player? No. But I certainly think that Scottie Scheffler can win more major championships. I think he probably will win more major championships. That's just the well-rounded nature of his game, Rex.
And I can see him becoming world number 1, to your point. I could see that happening again when he goes on another one of those 4 out of 6 start tears, where he just gets hot, the putter gets hot. You said he does everything well. He's not putting well. Now, I don't know if that's a short-term issue.
He's still a top 50 putter on the PGA Tour. And before he had his late season slide, he was a top 25 putter.
Well, actually, he finished 55th last season, strokes gained putting. You're right. He fell off after that hot stretch. So no, he's not. He's not a top 50 putter. I mean, you can make the argument if you want. Certainly not now, where he's at right now. But there's plenty of players who bring 4 of the 5 tools, and then on that hot week, or in his case, that hot 2-month stretch, can absolutely put the lights out, and they're going to blow the field away. Dustin Johnson immediately comes to mind when we start having this conversation. Like, he did everything really, really well, that much better than anyone else. And if he just putted a little bit better, not even great, let's say he just putts average, absolutely. I guess I would turn this on you. And I remember asking you specifically, probably at the Masters, like, did you see this coming? Did you see him being world number one? Did you see him being a major champion? It's interesting how he made that leap in a very short time.
I think it's certainly a credit to Scottie Scheffler's development. He's had a lot of great help along the way, whether it was Randy Smith, whether it was John Fields, whether it's now Ted Scott, who's on his bag. They made that switch last fall, and they certainly have a very close bond. It allowed him to access a level that maybe even Scottie Scheffler didn't know that he could achieve. We all knew that Scottie Scheffler was going to be a good, if not great player. But certainly Scottie Scheffler, the breakout year in 2022 cannot be denied from him. So Scottie Scheffler is our number 5 story of the year in 2022 for golfchannel.com.